Peter Burns, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans here, SEC Network finest. PB, good morning, buddy.
You guys hired a head coach down there yet? Are we're good? Opening press conference here soon or what?
Billy says he expects it right before the transfer window opens. So here in the next couple of weeks, right after the LSU game. So they better get a moving on it. Peter, this is a pretty simple question. As a LSU fan, but an analyst and a fan of the SEC in total, if they get this hire right, then what?
Then you're a college football playoff contender day one, especially in a 12-team playoff. I mean, I think that's why, it comes at an interesting time of college football is going to be completely reimagined coming up this next year, right? You got a 12-team playoff. You end up having all this conference realignment, Texas and Oklahoma coming into the conference. So this right now is almost like a brand new, okay, there is a clean slate. What are we going to do? And now there's going to be an opportunity for Ross Bjork and his Board of Regents to go ahead and make a splash hire. I do find it funny, some of the names that people throw out. I don't think Lane Kiffin's going. I don't think Dabo Swinney's going. Deion Sanders are not going. Those are three names that get a lot of buzz whenever you see a headline around it. But I don't see any of those three, calling plays next year up in College Station.
So who do you think makes the most sense then, Peter?
I mean, listen, the two names that make the most sense, at least on paper, is one, Mike Elko, because he's been there before, and the success that he's had at Duke. I don't personally know Mike that well, but by all accounts, I remember when Jimbo Fisher said that he was going to hire Elko, it was because he's like, hey, I wanted a defensive coordinator who had given me a bunch of hell when I coached against him, and Elko was that guy. And now he's shown that he can do it on a Power 5 level. Now, on the flip side of it, I mean, I'm probably too close to this, but I love Jeff Traylor over at UTSA. And I know some people will say, well, we're not really familiar necessarily with Jeff Traylor, but everything that you want out of him is something that you're looking for. A guy that has had success, a guy that's won a couple of games, and now all of a sudden a guy that can recruit extremely well. So that to me is the kind of the no-brainer in my mind.
Why do you think it didn't work with Jimbo overall? Did he lose his fastball? Was he too stubborn? What do you think it was?
I mean, I think it's just, not that much different than Scott Frost not working at Nebraska. I mean, on paper, it made perfect sense. You got a coach that is national championship pedigree, offensive-minded. You're thinking in general it's going to work, but sometimes just a bunch of different factors all coming together. I think one of it is what won football in 2013 and the early 2010s is different than what wins football in 2020 and 2021 and 2023. I think that's part of it. And, ultimately, I don't know if the fit for Jimbo at A&M always felt close, but never 100% in. Even the boots and the kind of ranch life and stuff, I don't know. I never really, it always felt like Jimbo did as much as he could to acclimate himself to College Station. So I don't necessarily fault him for that, but some people are natural fits, and that's why I keep going back to the Jeff Traylor thing. I'm like, I think Texas A&M is so uniquely Texas, right? It's everything in my heart. I lived in Texas for 20 plus years. I know it. You proud to be a Texan. I want Robert Earl Keen being played whenever I come on with you guys because I love the state and so much. I think you have to have somebody that's going to tap into that. And that's why I'm like, hey, you could throw a bunch of names that make sense, but Traylor is a guy that literally I could envision him wanting to be like a at the Alamo back in the day, just loves the state through and through. And I think that's a marketing tool that A&M has not really, used a lot in their success.
Talking to Peter Burns here on TexAgs Radio. You know what's interesting, Peter, is the most complete game, and I know it came against a bad Mississippi State team, but was this last game for Jimbo where the offense played more freely, the defense played great, it was a combination of things, and that's going to be the game he walks out to, even though we all know it was the Ole Miss game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of understood it, that the conversations were had prior to that, and not that anybody necessarily knew about it, but it was, hey, if all of a sudden he goes out there and he puts a big game against, against State, wins again this week, and then all of a sudden, which is not out of the realm of possibility, that they beat an LSU team that has no defense, do you find yourself in the same situation that LSU found themselves in with Les Miles a couple of years ago? I mean, they were already firing Les Miles, and then all of a sudden, you know, he wins in Baton Rouge. They carry him off, and they end up just having to fire him at the next part of the year. So the timing of it makes sense. I mean, if anything, Jimbo can say, hey, I got $75 million going into the bank account. And also now I went out with a monster win. So it's not the worst situation that could happen.
PB, man, appreciate you. Sorry it was so short. Billy had some stuff for us, so we had to get to that, but we'll talk to you real soon, all right?
I got bumped for Billy Lucci. Unbelievable. All right, now I'm pissed off. I'm going to call him about this. This was not stand. Not your fault. I blame Lucci as always.
Hey, we had to get you on regardless, man. Thank you so much.
See you, buddy.
Later, bro.
See ya.